Good morning, students. Students, I, Anil Kumar Swain, welcome you to the GYANJYOTI online classes. Students, today we'll complete the chapter, that is chapter number 6, Town Traders and Craftsmen. Students, this is the last chapter according to the October syllabus, and we'll study about this chapter. Students, the name itself suggests that it is the chapter about the different towns of the medieval period. The traders, students, traders means the businessmen, and craftsmen, students, who are included in craftsmen, the metal workers, the cobblers, the blacksmiths, the persons who are doing some design work by using bamboos, pottery makers, so they all are craftsmen. So we'll study about them in detail. Students, they all are interdependent. The towns, traders and craftsmen, they all three are interdependent. Towns thrive and grow because of trade. Yes, it's true, friends. A town or a particular city cannot just exist only because of a particular service or business, or they all the things are needed at a time simultaneously. Trade flourishes because of crafts and different businesses. We can say trade. During medieval times, new and different kinds of towns came into being, and trade flourished, and new crafts were introduced. Though the traders and craftsmen created wealth, they were not part of the ruling class, because friends, you know about the caste system that made the Kshatriyas the superiority. They remain in the supreme power. The traders and craftsmen equipped with different qualities. They acquired caste identities on the basis of their vocation and profession. The urban population therefore remained divided on the basis of caste and profession. Okay, students, yes, it's true. In earlier times, nowadays also, in some towns they contain different colonies, different areas where a particular community of people are living. The fraternity is different. Okay, students, then we'll study serially one by one by all the subtopics. And the first one is towns. So, what is an urban place or a town? How does it differ from a rural place or a village? We have no difficulty in identifying the largest cities and capitals, but it is difficult to identify the smaller towns and distinguish them from the larger villages. Still, there are ways of distinguishing them. Towns is not a village, or it is not like a larger village. It is a much more bigger than a larger village. Then, students, towns are generally larger in size. We know they are larger in size. It is neither a metro, we can say metro city, neither a village. They are in the middle of a situation. The population of towns is larger as well. Trade, commerce, or a non-agriculture economy is the main source of livelihood of townsfolk. A city has more traders and salaried people. Cities also have literate people, but it is quite different from the village people. So, what is the varieties of urban centers? The next topic is, students, the varieties of urban centers. So, what can it be? In olden times, students, the cities and the towns differed from each other in many ways. Kautilya divided cities and towns into different categories, such as the capitals of kingdoms. So, according to Kautilya, towns and cities were divided into, first of all, the capitals, students. The next one was the administrative headquarters. then trade centers, then students, fourth one was port towns, temple towns. Okay students, these are the five types of towns being divided or being categorized by Kautilya. So now the cities of our days, our centuries are divided into their according to the locations. It may be seafront location like Mumbai, Chennai, then riverfront location like Delhi, Vijayawada, Surat, Patna. There are many cities which are situated near rivers. Lakefront location, it means that the city contains large amounts of lake like Bhopal, Ajmer, Srinagar and etc. etc. Then flat location means it is just a flat land like Madurai and Amritsar, they don't have any special water bodies linked to it. Then the last one is hilly location, means hill station students. It may be Shimla, it may be Ooty, Mount Abu, Darjeeling, Nainital, Kurg, Kannur. So these are some of the cities, the different types of cities classified in our era. Then next one is students, the historical towns. So what are the historical towns all about? Students, what are the historical towns? How it has been divided or it will be classified. Historical towns are those which were famous a long time ago. Most of them are still present, they are not present today, some of them are surviving. Okay students? Now we will meet the past coexist. Relics of the past are features and focal points of historical towns. The remains of different buildings, monuments can be seen in historical towns. Now students, let us take the examples of South India. The cities in South India have significant landmarks in the form of temples. Students, South India is famous for different type of temples. If you will move, you will go to Tamil Nadu, then you can see numerous temples which are very magnificently built. Such temple cities are mainly situated in the south. As I have told you, medieval cities are historical cities and they are more in number than ancient cities. The most important medieval cities are Delhi. Delhi popularly was ruled by the Mughals. Therefore, we can find a lot of Indo-Islamic architectural monuments in New Delhi. Now, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Agra, Jaipur, etc. are examples of historical cities. These cities have a number of historical relics, but all old cities do not have an equal number of old monuments or relics. For example, Varanasi is an important city, but it does not have historical relics. Students, you know that Varanasi is, or in Hindi it is written as Banaras. It is the oldest living city or the oldest surviving city in our country. Means it is still surviving. In India, Varanasi is the oldest surviving city. Okay students, for example, it is more than 3 to 350 years old. It is more than 300 to 350 years old. All these cities still exist. And what are the prominent features? There are special features of these old cities, the historical cities. Some of these cities, such as Ahmedabad, Shahjahanabad, Hyderabad, Jaipur, are well-planned cities. But not all medieval cities are planned cities. The later had a planned layout. These cities generally had a fort, a large palace, or a large place of worship and traditional markets. The Red Fort, Jama Masjid, Chandni Chowk are the most prominent features of Shahjahanabad, that is called the Old Delhi, Purani Delhi. If you will visit Delhi, you can see there's a part of Delhi which is known as the Purani Delhi. And you can find places like Chandni Chowk, Jama Masjid, Red Fort. They situated in Old Delhi. That was once known as Shahjahanabad. Okay, friends. Then next is court towns. Next sort of towns was the court towns. What are court towns? Many cities were the capitals of an empire or the headquarters of the rulers. Delhi was and continues to be the capital of the headquarters of the government of India. Friends, you know that Delhi is the capital of India. Before it was Kolkata. It was a court town. Agra was also a court town. The regional kingdoms had their own court towns. Thus, Jaunpur was the capital of the Saraki Sultans, and Hastinavati, modern Hampi, was the capital of the kingdom of Vijayanagara. Students, these court towns were once the capital towns of the kingdoms of different rulers and kings. Then, thus the court towns were the capital of the empires and kingdoms, as I have told you a few seconds ago, and the provincial capitals were where the rulers and their governors held courts. They were usually well fortified and well connected. So students, this was the brief detail about court towns. Now we will study the emergence of new towns, how new towns emerged. Emergence of new town. Students, the next subtopic is emergence of new towns. Students, the word emergence means upcoming, and it means the new growing towns. These olden cities originated in two ways. First one, some cities were founded, others grew over a long period of time. For example, students, Ahmedabad, situated in Gujarat. I will write the example here. Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is situated in Gujarat, present day Gujarat. Then students, next is Hyderabad. Next is Jaipur, Rajasthan. Sure, these are some of the cities which were emerged in the medieval era, were founded as cities. Okay, students, then cities like Surat grew because of their trade. Now also, students, Surat is considered as the diamond city of our country because most of the diamond businesses are being carried out in Surat, situated in Gujarat. Cities that were founded were built on a grand scale. Generally, they had monuments in the city center in the form of mosques or temples and palaces. They had a planned street and layout. You can see in Hyderabad. They had large market centers such as Chandni Chowk in Delhi, Char Minar area of Hyderabad. If you will visit these places, Chandni Chowk in Purani Delhi and the Char Minar area in Hyderabad, then you can know that the cities were all well planned. They were the very ancient, means not ancient, means medieval cities. They were made in a well planned manner. Cities that were founded had forts and fortifications around them. The royal palaces were located within the forts. Prominent and affluent persons had their houses within the fortification. Means students, fortification means the city was fortified, means it was large heighted walls were built and soldiers were there, and the city was guarded by the soldiers, The kingdom was very powerful, so very affluent, very influential person resided in that area. Students, now we study the cities of South India. The South India, what does it carry? So what are the specialty of the South Indian cities, students? As I have told you in few minutes ago, that the South Indian cities are majorly known for their temples, or they are known as temple towns. A major feature of the South Indian cities is the presence of one or more temples. Students, you know that our state capital Bhubaneswar is known as a city of temples, but in the medieval times, and now also, if you visit especially Tamil Nadu, the state of Tamil Nadu, you will find in a temple in every small villages. The temples in South India, they are known for their magnificent architecture. The temples dominated the urban landscape. Even today, the approach of major cities in the south is indicated by the presence of a temple, Gopuram. Gopuram means the gateway, students. In the earlier class, we have studied the gateway. And the construction was, as I have told you, the architecture, the Nagara style, Visara style, Dravidian style. Okay, so we can find a temple in every South Indian village. Okay, students. Then next, we'll go to the next subtopic, that is the ports and trading towns. Students, we have studied about the temple towns, court towns, then the emergence of new towns. Now our next topic is ports and trading towns. Then students, before that I forgot to say one thing, that the founder of the planned cities had magnificent idea about the construction of the new cities. That he or she, not she, they built the cities in such a manner that all the people should get all the facilities from the kingdom. They had provision for bazaars in appropriate areas. There was bazaars in appropriate areas. They have temples in their fixed area. These cities were located among the river banks. Sorry, friends. Most of the cities in the earlier civilizations or in the medieval city era, they were situated near the river banks. That I have told you why all were trying to settle down near the in the river areas. Friends, now the port and trading towns, it means that port means, you know, port means the city situated near the coastal areas, and port means where ships come and go. They carry the luggage, the freight, and they go for trade to different countries. Then students, many medieval towns became famous and different as affluent as ports and trade centers like the Visakhapatnam, Chennai, Surat, Cochin, Tuticorin, Mumbai. That was not present at that time, but these port towns were famous from the medieval era. Machilipatnam also. Ahmedabad was a trading town located on the mainland. It was not a coastal town. The property of the cities dependent upon trade, both local and overseas. Students, the businessmen, the traders, they traveled to different countries, nearby countries for trade purposes, and they try to bring more businesses for them. Then students, next is, as I have told you that I have forgotten to write here, ports and next subtopic is the pilgrimage center. Pilgrimage centers. So, students, what do you mean by pilgrimage? In Hindi, it is called Tirth Yatra. Students, why do we do pilgrimage? We go to, there are some pilgrim centers in our country, like Vaishno Devi. Nowadays, I am talking about the present era. Mansarovar, Vaishno Devi, Badrinath, Puri, Dwarka, Rameshwaram. So these are places of worship, and the centers are known as pilgrimage centers. Many old Indian towns have been important pilgrimage centers for a long time. Banaras, as I have told the students that Banaras is the oldest living city of our country. Mathura, Kanchipuram. I may write the name of the cities here. Varanasi, Mathura, Kanchipuram, and Ajmer also. During medieval times, students, Ajmer emerged as a new pilgrimage center. Students, Ajmer is famous for Khwaja Moinuddin Chishtis. So, most of the people in our country, they try to visit Ajmer for asking for a wish. They go there, they worship that God, and they ask for different blessings from that God. Next, students, Vrindavan also became an attraction for pilgrims. Subsequently, Amritsar acquired the status of a pilgrimage center. You know that, students, Amritsar is famous for the Golden Temple. Guru Nanak Sahib. It is famous for different, all other different tourist places also. Devotees have been visiting these towns from long ago. Students, and the biggest example of our state is Puri also. That our state has a pilgrimage center like Puri. Students, according to your textbook, there are 3 case studies. Students, what do you mean by case study? Means we will study a particular topic in detail. So, according to your textbook, students, there is a case study about 3 types of towns. First one is Hampi, that is a temple town. I will write it, students. Hampi is a temple town. Then, students, now we will study about Surat. Surat is a trading town. Oh, it was a trading town, it is still a trading town. Now, the third topic here is the town of Machilipatnam. It is a port town. Okay, students. Next is, let us study about Hampi. That Hampi, or the land of surprises. Students, it is situated in Karnataka. So, what does it mean? Is the land of surprises. The meaning. The land of surprises was once the capital of the mighty kingdom of Vijayanagara. It was the capital of Vijayanagara. Okay, students. Hakka and Bukka. Students, this is a very interesting name. Hakka and Bukka, the founders of the kingdom, made Hastinavati, the modern MP. So this is old name was Hastinavati. Old name was the Hastinavati, or modern Hampi. Their capital during the middle of the 14th century. Today, Hampi located within the ruins of Vijayanagara Empire. It is a city in ruins. It is now just a village in northern Karnataka. Hampi is now a village, remains a village in the northern Karnataka. However, it continues to be an important religious center. Its ruins demonstrate the importance of art and architecture during the times of Vijayanagara kingdom. This prosperous city was sacked and burnt in 1556. Students, this was a town along the mid of what is this? The ruins include the stately Virupaksa temple dedicated to Virupaksa. It includes the main students. The statue of Ugra Narasimha is a unique piece of art. The Vithala temple also lies in ruins. Students, at ruins means they are all damaged. In Hindi you can say Khandahar. If you go there, you will find this type of things. Its sculpture work is very superb. The Sivalinga, Hazara Rama temple, Queen's Bath, Virupaksa Bazaar and Lotus Mahal are excellent examples of beauty and technical skills. Students, if you will visit Karnataka, you must visit the place Hampi. Historians have drawn a satisfactory picture of Vijayanagar within the with the help of travelers' accounts who visited the city and wrote about it. Notable among the travelers were Nicole D. Conti, Duarte Barbosa, Dominic Pace and Abdul Razak. They all visited this place and they have written in their travelers' account about this magnificent place. Travelers have described Vijayanagar while it was in a flourishing state. Okay, when it was very flourishing, when it was very prosperous, they have written about the place. They left behind a detailed account of the empire's power and wealth. They have written, what they see at that period of time that they have written. Abdul Razak was impressed by the fortifications and mentioned 7 lines of forts. He found that the fortifications also enclosed agricultural tracts. Abdul Razak noted that between the first, second and the third walls there are cultivated fields, gardens and houses. Traders from around the world came here. Many items like spices, textiles, jewelry and ivory were exported to far away trade. Even today, one can see the splendorous beauty of the Hampi in ruins. The Vijayanagar ruins, which include Hampi, are listed in World Heritage Site. Students, UNESCO is a body of the United Nations. It lists all the beautiful places in the World Heritage Site and Hampi is one among them. Okay students, then next we will move to the trading city town of Surat. Students, have you ever visited Surat? It is situated in Gujarat. It is, as I have told you, that it is one said that as it is the diamond city of our country. Surat has been a port town. It is situated on the left banks of the river Tapti, river in the state of Gujarat. The city grew because of its overseas trade. Overseas means trade being done with the other countries outside our country. Today, it is a manufacturing city. It is known for its textiles and diamond businesses. As I have told you students, Surat is known for its diamond businesses. It had become an important port town by the 15th century and emerged as a town of traders, particularly exporters and importers. Many of its traders were among the richest in India. It also had a very strong fort also. The Mughal emperor conquered Surat in 1573. Akbar was a great emperor, friends, conquered Surat in 1573. During the Mughal age, the city rose to be a chief commercial city of India. Muslim pilgrims headed for Makkah bordered their ships from Surat. It was therefore known as the Bandar Mubarak Students, remember the word bandar. Students, remember one thing, that Makkah and Medina are two holy places of the Muslims, and most of the people who were going to Makkah Medina, they boarded the ships from Surat. Therefore, the harbour of the city of Surat was known as Bandar Mubarak. Bandar means students port. The British entered the city as a trading company during the reign of Jahangir in 1759. They occupied in 1759. The Britishers occupied it. This is an important date. Then students, the city grew over the years without any planning. And although the rule of Mumbai had led to the decline of Surat, it gradually acquired importance due to its industries. 3/4 of the world's diamonds are cut and polished in Surat. Now Surat is no more a port town. However, it continues to be a center of trade and industry, and it influences. It owes the existence of trade. It is influenced by trade a lot. Okay, students. Then next we'll move to Machilipatnam. What is the case study? That is Machilipatnam. Sorry students, it is Machilipatnam. Students, what is Machilipatnam? Machilipatnam was a flourishing seaport during the times of Satavahanas kingdom. It is located on the southeastern of Coromandel, coast of India. The port town grew around the settlement in which Arab traders founded. Presently, it is called Machilipatnam. Students, as I have told you that it is the old name. Now the name of the city is Machilipatnam. Situated on the mouth of the river Krishna. It is situated near river Krishna. Mouth of the river Krishna. And it is now the administrative center of Krishna district in the present state of Andhra Pradesh. In short, it is into the prosperity during the 17th century. It was the first British trading settlement over the Bay of Bengal. That was established in 1611. This is the first British settlement. First British settlement. The French and the Dutch held it later. First of all, the British acquired made it the first British settlement in the year 1611. Machilipatnam acquired significance as the part of Golconda. It continues to be most famous for its carpet weaving industries. It is well known for its kalamkari painting. The Qutub Sahib rulers introduced this art. Since a pen that is known as kalam is used in the architecture, in the technique of painting, it is called kalamkari. The artisans used vegetable dyes for printing. Students, vegetable dyes were used as painting. Though primarily it was a fishing harbour, weavers formed a large part of the population of Machilipatnam. They followed the occupation of printing, bleaching, washing and dressing. So textiles was an important industry near in Machilipatnam. Textiles were exported to China, Southeast Asia. With the passage of time, their trade also declined. Students, being a port town, they took advantage of the sea and they exported different products to the different parts of the world, China and Southeast Asia. Next students, our next topic is subtopic in the chapter is the traders in medieval India. So what were the as the name of the chapter is town traders and craftsmen. Now we'll move to traders. What were traders? Who were traders? Traders, students, we can say they are called businessmen. The trading class spread out all over the country during the Mughal age. It was well organized and highly professional. So, some like Sheikhs, Baharas and Modis specialized in they are very specialized in long distance trade. The others such as the Beparis or the Baniks specialized in local retail trade. The Banjaras specialized in carrying bulk goods. They moved from one place to another. How the nomads were doing. They were wanderers. They don't remain in one place. They constantly don't stay in one place. The Sarafs, Sropes specialized in changing money. The traders remained a group of multi-caste professionals. India had a flourishing foreign trade. The Tamils, Gujaratis and the Marwadis were well-known international traders. There were certain communities who specialized in trade. In the north, the Banyas, the Jains, the Parsis, the Marwadis, Sindhis, Multanis and Bohras were such communities who were specialized in trade or international trade, I can say. The rulers of Delhi also took a keen interest in the promotion of trade. The Turks tried to secure routes for trading activities. Better communications and a stable currency encouraged the growth of trade in the country. Internal trade took place through land routes and waterways. The main items of trade were spices, wheat, rice, pulses. Students, what are the main items? Spices, rice, wheat, cotton. Okay, students, then pulses, sugar, textiles. So, etc. were some of the items which were imported and exported. Trade with the foreign lands took place through the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea and also through the Red Sea. So, items of major export were spices, sugar, textiles and precious stones, whereas imports were luxury items from the west. You may recall that the Mughals struggled to acquire control over the Kandahar in Afghanistan. Why? It was reason. That's the reason. It was because Kandahar was situated on a very important trade route. The Mughals also simplified taxation to help trade. The traders protected their collective interest by forming guilds. Students, what do you mean by guilds? What are guilds? A guild usually consisted of persons working in the same profession. It's a group of people belonging to the same profession. They may be metal workers. They may be exporter and importer of rice, pulses, oil seeds. The traders pooled together their money and became a kind of a bank. This was very useful. As a guild, they had more money. With more money, they could trade on a larger scale, and they could do it as a single traders. Some of the rich Brahmins in that era, in that society, also invested their money in trade. Each trader guild had its own caravans for transporting goods. Some of them even had their own armed guards. Traders lived a very luxurious life. Big traders tried to imitate the ways of the king, and sometimes led royal lives because they became very rich by trading. Then students, the last one is the last topic is students. Now the last topic is about the chapter is the artisans and craftsmen. The Turks were an urban ruling class with a taste of town life. Many towns grew during the period of the sultans. Students, who are the craftsmen? As I have told you, the people who were doing some innovative crafts, they were known as the craftsmen. Under the sultans and also under the Mughals, towns had a very different type of population, varied population. Yes, students, the word is varied, V-A-R-I-E-D. It means different types of diversities we have seen in their population. They all were involved in different types of professions. They included nobles, clerks, traders, artisans, craftsmen, shopkeepers, etc. etc. Slave and domestic servants formed another section. People living in towns were, however, mainly artisans and traders. The artisans and craftsmen supplied by the nobles and their families with whatever they needed. The Turks had introduced and popularized a number of new crafts and techniques. The use of stirrups and large-scale use of armor led to the growth of the metallurgy industry. Students, what is metallurgy? The art of making metals and metal crafts. The other popular crafts included paper making, glass making, spinning, pottery, and an improved form of weaving. Besides this, the leather work and carpet weaving were also popularized in India during the period of sultans. The introduction of new crafts added sections of people in the community of craftsmen. It also enriched their life, the town life. People now were very skilled. They now knew how to make more money. Students, there's a subtopic we'll study, that is the paper making in this section. The art of manufacturing paper had been invented by Chinese in the 2nd century. The art of paper making was started in the 2nd century. It was known to the Arab world by the 5th century. Arab world was known to as the 5th century and traveled to Europe, and only during the 14th century. An introduction in India created a new class of craftsmen. Students, first of all, there was no paper. In earlier times, in ancient times, we have studied, there were manuscripts, inscriptions. They write on the rocks, the walls of the caves, walls of different monuments. So paper was not invented at that time. Craftsmen belonged to both poor as well as the rich sections of the urban society. They lived according to their craft in a special part of the city. For instance, students, the weavers lived in one part and brass pot makers lived in another part of the city. Goldsmith inhabited a separated area, and so on. Even today, such segregation of artisans or traders can be seen in different cities. Students, I have told you that a particular class of professions or the craftsmen, they have a different place to live in. They have different colonies. Why was the population segregated in the cities? Students, it was because all the people were not considered equal. The craftsmen were divided into different groups. They made their own groups. Groupism existed. Besides their economic status, the caste and profession of the people also determined their social position. Craftsmen were identified on the basis of their craft, which was identical to caste. There were wealthy and skilled craftsmen in Cambay during the Sultanate period. They lived a luxurious life. They were accustomed to good food and fine clothing. Under the Mughals, their lifestyle improved further. Students, as you know that craftsmen, when they were residing in that medieval era, so some were poor, some were rich, some craftsmen flourished very high, some were not. The particular group of craftsmen, they lived in different areas. Their work was different from one another. Therefore, they stayed in different places. Students, so this was the chapter all about towns, traders, and craftsmen. Now we have studied about different towns, the port towns, trading centers, temple towns, and about traders. I have told you that the traders were there who were doing trades in different parts of the country, along with the overseas trades also. And the next one was students, the craftsmen. Different types of craftsmen survived in that era. So students, so at the end, this was the end of the topic, and at last I will say, while you are watching the video, please go through the textbook. Okay students, for today I may bid goodbye to all of you. Thank you. Have a nice day.